Good afternoon, everyone. My name is Kevin Olical with the National Partnership for New Americans, NPNA. We are going to begin today's webinar, Workforce Development Programs and Resources by Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. Today's presentation will include an overview of resources from the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership that support economic and pandemic recovery, how the partnership has structured its organization to address the needs of Cook County, an opportunity for participants to ask questions directly, and more. We will also be joined by Cook County Commissioner Bridget Gaynor. We want to first thank our partners from the Cook County Recovery Initiative, which include the Illinois Restaurant Association, the Illinois Business Immigration Coalition, and Cook County government for supporting today's webinar. And we especially want to thank the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership for putting together today's presentation. To begin today's program, it is my pleasure to introduce Nancy Flores, Deputy Director of NPNA.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon, and thank you so much for joining today's webinar. Hope you're closing out the week strong, and just want to give a really warm welcome to everybody joining us here today. I'm Nancy Flores, Deputy Director at the National Partnership for New Americans. I want to tell you a little bit about who we are as a coalition. NPNA is a national organization made up of 41 immigrant rights organizations across 37 states. Of course, Illinois very strongly represented here. And our members move local, state, and federal organizing and advocacy campaigns for immigrant rights, while also providing essential services to our community. Obviously, during this very difficult time, our organizations have been diligently working to provide COVID-19 resources and advocating for families left out of relief programs and building out local and state strategies tied to workforce development, as I'm sure many of you have, which is what brings us together here today. We're so grateful to be in partnership with all of the organizations that Kevin just mentioned. And today we're joined by the Chicago Cook County Workforce Partnership to learn about the resources and strategies that have worked to support economic recovery, best practices for workforce training, and opportunities and how localities can adapt this model to make it work for themselves at the local level. So just really excited to do this information sharing and share these models and best practices with you today. So at this time, I'm really proud to introduce Bridget Gaynor, Cook County Commissioner of the 10th District, who is a strong champion supporting organizations, businesses, and our communities during this time. She was elected to the Cook County Board in 2010. Commissioner Gaynor has been named a rising star in Illinois politics. And as chairwoman of the Pension Committee, she has led the charge of pension reform solutions that are fair to both taxpayers and workers. Commissioner Gaynor also created the Cook County Land Bank, the region's most comprehensive response to reduce the amount and impact of vacant land and abandoned buildings throughout Cook County. We are so grateful for your leadership and support. Commissioner Gaynor, welcome. You have the floor.
Thank you very much. Well, look, second only or probably equal to housing, employment is, for me, my top priority. And especially when you look at removing the barriers that exist between the talented pool of people we have access to in our region and the jobs that we know that they could do. And part of some of those impediments are things like the requirement of a college degree when the college degree isn't actually required for the skills necessary to execute the job. Because of that, Aon, where I also work, 4 years ago started at the Chicago Apprentice Network, an apprentice program, which looks at entry-level positions. And we've had a tremendous partner in the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. But we kind of asked ourselves the question, does this job really require a 4-year degree, or have we just gotten in the habit of requiring one? And when you do that, you inevitably end up with a less diverse, wealthier kind of pipeline. And no one sets out to do that. But you always have to examine, is this what I have and what do I need to do different? Because if I don't change the pipeline that's coming into my company or my organization, then I'm not going to end up with the leadership I ultimately want. And so 4 years ago, we looked at our entry-level positions. We chose some that did not really require 4 years college. And then we partnered with city colleges, and I call them young people. They're in their minds full adults, but they have come in. So the corporate offices of McDonald's, Kraft Heinz, across the spectrum of the Chicago community. And now for your perfectly viable strategy, you just have to, requirements are, what are those barriers to entry you're putting up to employment? And college is fantastic, but the trades have showed us that you can use the apprentice model where you're going to school, you're learning, and you're working, because it just means that more people have access to employment earlier than they may have, with those requirements in place. And so we're very bullish on this model. We're now expanding it to 6 other cities in the United States, DC, Philly, and New York, Houston and Minneapolis, and San Francisco. And so our hope is that this becomes really like a third way, that you no longer de facto think just because you're going to work in a white collar or corporate position that you have to have a college degree. I would ask any employers out there to step back, look at the job descriptions, and really make a decision as, are all these requirements I'm putting up necessary, or are they, excuse me, could they be different? And if they were different, would I be able to attract a different pipeline? There are 2 employers. Now there's 45 employers and there's 1,000 apprentices. And the vast majority of those really fundamentally change some of the pipelines for corporate positions. And after the 2-year apprentice, and they continue to grow and progress. So we're really bullish on this option. I would encourage anyone who has any questions, private sector or public sector, please don't hesitate to reach out to me, because I'm a big believer in it. And the proof is really in the success we've had over the last 4 years.
Thank you so much, Commissioner Gaynor. I believe someone from your staff has left your contact information in the chat. So if people have questions, please reach out to Commissioner Gaynor. Thank you for joining us today, and thank you for all the great work that you're doing with Cook County. And
it's great to see you.
Yeah, NPNA is proud to support the county as a member of the Recovery Initiative.
Excellent.
And,
well, thanks for having me. I love getting with you guys.
Thank you. Next, it is my pleasure to introduce both Corey Muldoon, Chief of Staff, and Victor Vizueta, Business Relations Specialist from the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership.
Great, thank you. I just want to take a minute to applaud Commissioner Gaynor and the great work she's been doing at Aon, but also her leadership in the county in getting valuable resources to businesses and job seekers to make the connections that they need to thrive and survive. So Victor and I are here today. We're really excited to be part of this conversation and share what resources are available through the partnership and our network. We are part of the public workforce system, and I want to be clear that everything we're talking about today is focused on Cook County and Chicago, but every part of our country has a public workforce system. Not to get too deep in the weeds, but we're part of Illinois' local workforce innovation area number 7. And no matter if it's like rural Wyoming or New York City, there's a local workforce innovation area, and there are federal funds and people that are committed to serving businesses and helping them find the talent they need to succeed, and job seekers to find family sustaining careers that are meaningful to them. So for those of you that might not be in Cook County, we'd be happy to help connect you to the workforce board in your area. So next slide, please. So this is a quick snapshot of what we do. It's kind of like how we think about our structure. At the top left and right, you see our customer bases. We serve job seekers and employers, and we do that through providing training and career coaching for job seekers. And we have a business service team, which Victor is one of the leaders of, that working with businesses in Chicago and Cook County. And then in the center here, you see a lot of the tools that we have to make these connections meaningful. And so a lot of the work we do focuses on specific industry sectors. We do a lot of in-depth one-on-one relationship building with businesses and job seekers to figure out kind of what their needs are, what their pain points are, and how we can coach them to take advantage of the relatively limited resources that are available through public workforce to make an impact in their life. You can go to the next slide. So this is just a little snapshot of our network here in Cook County. We have 91 delegate agencies with over 100 service locations throughout the city and suburban Cook County. We interact with over 140,000 people a year and provide some level of service to them. And we serve over 1,000 businesses a year. Many of the programs we work on target communities with high rates of unemployment and poverty. And our programs are really designed to not just get somebody a job, but to get them a family sustaining career that can be meaningful for them long term. One of the unique things about the partnership, we were formed in 2012 through collaboration between the Mayor Rahm Emanuel and Cook County Board President Tony Preckwinkle to consolidate 4 different public systems that were receiving federal workforce dollars into one nonprofit. And that nonprofit structure allows us to raise additional philanthropic dollars and other government dollars to layer into our programming to make it stronger. You can go to the next slide, please. So here's a slide with a lot of words. The things I want to highlight are our website and our 800 number. So if you want to get connected to us, our website is the easiest place to do that. Certainly feel free to call our 800 number too. We have a lot of different types of service locations. So the big ones are the American Job Centers. This is part of the public workforce system you can find anywhere in the country. We're very lucky to have 10 in Cook County, so 5 in the city and 5 in the suburbs. And these are high volume centers that deal with a lot of businesses and people and have essentially connections to other parts of the public workforce system, like Illinois Department of Employment Security, Illinois Department of Human Services, the community colleges, any other group that might be part of our work is kind of threaded into the work of the American Job Center. So a great resource there. Because Chicago is a city of neighborhoods, we also have delegate agencies, in neighborhoods and towns across the county. And we have youth delegate agencies because we know that our youth programs need to be designed with the intention of serving young adults, or they're not going to be successful. So we break out the youth money and make sure that those services are prepared, especially for young adults. Another part of our network are sector centers. So we do some business services focused solely on sector. So we have an IT sector center, a healthcare sector center, a TDL sector center, and a retail hospitality sector center. So Victor will talk about more of those later. And then we also have a lot of training programs. So you can go to the next slide, please.
Before you begin the next slide, just want to let participants know if you do have questions that you'd like to ask for the Q&A at the end, feel free to drop those questions in the chat.
Great, thanks, Kevin. We base all of our work off of data and the regional economy. And so when we look at what industries are high growth and high demand in Cook County, these are the 7 that rise to the top. And so we focus our training efforts and our business outreach efforts towards these 7 sectors. Next slide, please. And then this is just a little more detail into how we break out our programming. So we have these federal Workforce Innovation Opportunity Act funds, and those funds cover programming for 49 agencies, and they're focused on youth, adult, and dislocated worker services. And aligned with our WIOA program are over 100 training entities that we have. The Illinois Board of Higher Education is certified to provide in-depth training to prepare job seekers for their careers. We are also the stewards of the Chicago COVID Contact Tracing Corps, which is the community-based response coming out of the city to address the pandemic. as well as address like the economic hardship that the communities that have been most hard hit by the pandemic have also been hard hit by historically. And so working with the city, we've funded 31 agencies to hire over 600 contact tracers that are part of the region's response to the pandemic, and then moving forward the recovery as well. We also have 38 agencies that have received competitive government grants and 7 that are providing philanthropic funded services. Altogether, we have 26 separate initiatives serving over 14,000 people, in addition to the average of 12,000 people that we serve with our WIOA programs. And these are intensive services, so people working directly with the career coach around their career goals. Next. And so I want to highlight some of the things that we're able to do locally. If you're outside of Cook County, you know, these might be innovative things that you guys could try to implement in your area, and we'd be happy to talk with you about that at depth one-on-one. So we work with our housing authority, both in the county and in the city, but in the city, we have a really close relationship where we have career coaches that work directly with their residents to help them access our resources. We also, in collaboration with the mayor's office, created Chicago Codes, which has been a really exciting program. Victor actually runs it. That it's like a coding boot camp, except instead of paying $10,000, we're able to provide it for free, and it's targeted towards Black and Latinx residents in the south and west sides of Chicago. There's a lot of growth in the construction industry. We know a lot of jobs have suffered, and with the pandemic, construction has weathered the storm a little bit better than other sectors, and we see a lot of hiring happening here. So working with the Illinois Tollway and the Chicago Transit Authority, as well as some private funders, we're doing a lot to train individuals in the trades so they can be ready to get into the skilled trade unions and work on projects like rebuilding our train system and things like that. Next. So a couple other local initiatives. We teamed up with a national group called Road Trip Nation to create a young adult workforce development portal for Chicago and Cook County. And so you can see the link there. This is a really great resource, and especially during the pandemic, it gives people access to a ton of videos that allows for them. Here's my coworker. I'm telling some people about our work right now, okay? Say hi. Okay, talk to mama. That's Baird. So our youth workforce portal has been a really great resource, and for people that aren't able to leave their houses now because of the pandemic, there's ways to continue career exploration activities here. Lots of great video resources and things like that. I'm going to pop our link and the portal link into the chat now. Opportunity Works is a program that Commissioner Gaynor supported as we created it. And it's a really incredible youth internship program that connects young adults to businesses and high growth industries. We also do work with the AARP Foundation and older workers to help make sure that they're able to stay within the labor market when they want to. And we run virtual jobs clubs and virtual trainings. So I'm just kind of racing through our initiatives here to give you guys a sense of the breadth of the work and the different ways that people, businesses, nonprofits connect with our network. Next slide, please. So we're really excited about this, and I put this in here because we gotta shine a little bit. Like, we just opened the state-of-the-art Greater Chatham Education and Workforce Center. It's on 79th Street in Champlain in Chicago, and there's a maker lab. We've got a computer lab. We have WIOA services. This is where our Chicago Codes program is based out of, and it's really just an incredible resource in the heart of Chicago's South Side, and a community that's seen incredible divestment and people moving out over the last couple decades. So we're really excited about this resource. We just had our grand opening last month. We're also doing work around the opioid crisis. I imagine you guys are aware of how bad it is, but just one stat that really sticks with me: by July in 2020, more people had died of opioid overdose than had the entire year of 2019. And so the pandemic has had a huge impact on people's mental health, and that's one indicator of that. And so we're working to get more people trained in counseling, as well as help people that have been impacted by the crisis find work. And so there's that grant. And then we also are working to address the realities that people face when they come home from prison. And we're working to get more training resources to people before they're released, and then in-depth one-on-one personal supports when people come home so they can make that transition successfully. Next slide. And I just put this on here to share a sense of the impact that we have. So you guys know it's not just a lot of programs that don't mean anything. Not that you would think that, but I want to be clear that you see the value. In 2020, we served fewer people because of the pandemic and our WIOA programs. But of those 9,554 people, we invested over 46 million in the programs, and that has led to over 136 million in wages earned by program completers. And so one of the things about WIOA is there's a lot of accountability to make sure people get employed, and we stick with them until they do. And so our frontline workers are every day, working with people and helping them find the best way to continue their career or start their career. And you see here on the right side are the average wages of people who are placed through our program. So DW is dislocated workers, so people that have been laid off. And in general, the spread is people going through our programs earn anywhere between 7 and 20% more than the people who don't. A couple other stats around our outcomes. We enrolled close to 5,000 people in vocational training last year, and close to 5,000 adults and close to 2,000 youth. And 73% of the people that we worked with were placed into employment. These are 73% of the adults, 85% of the dislocated workers, and 81% of the youth successfully completed our programs. Next slide. We've been heavily involved in the pandemic response, both with Cook County government and City of Chicago. We've done some direct humanitarian and disaster relief. So we've created several transitional job programs to help people get their groceries and PPE and do community work in the communities that have been most hard hit by the pandemic. We've also been doing rapid response to businesses to help them stay open. When the stay-at-home order came through, a lot of businesses weren't prepared to be open, even though they were essential and couldn't do so safely. And we were able to get grants to those businesses to make their workplaces more safe, getting the right PPE in place and setting up the air filtration systems or whatever it was they needed. So we helped more than 50 companies, over 30 companies got funding through this, and it was worth over $1 million. We've also upped our virtual services and online training. As you might imagine, we had to close down all of our centers, and the customers we serve weren't able to work with us directly in person. So we set up a lot of virtual services, like enrolling people in our programs and providing trainings online. Next slide. I'm happy to answer questions. I know I'm going really fast. It's just there's a lot to get through. So this is also around our pandemic response. We've done a lot of focus on, as investments are made in stopping the pandemic, how do we ensure that community jobs are created out of it? And so the City of Chicago was on the forefront of this and creating the community-based contact tracing corps. And so, we've worked with 4 program partners, 31 community-based organizations to train and hire. It's over 600 contact tracers, both full-time and part-time workers, as well as a resource hub. So when people are self-quarantining, the resource hub helps them get food or housing if they needed, a place to quarantine, all that. So the hub helps people, be more effective in battling the disease when they have it or someone in their family has it. And we also built an earn and learn program into this. So the people that are enrolled in the program as contact tracers or resource hub workers are given the opportunity for free training so they can continue careers in public health or healthcare after the program is over. We're also working with the county to help staff up their public health system. And so we've been connecting a lot of people to the jobs available through the county. Next slide. And this slide is here so people know how to reach us. So these are all the different ways that people can connect to our services. You know, if you need a job today, check out the Work Now page. That's regularly updated with companies that are hiring. If you want intensive services, you can find us online or use our own 1-800 number. Shy Tracing is all the info about our contact tracing efforts. Shy Serves, we did a special program and outreach to the restaurant industry because so many people were losing their jobs there. And so we have specialized services for the service industry. We've got a texting platform, so you can text 474747 to get connected to our services, as well as these other types of outreach. We've been regularly on Univision, letting people know about our services, and we get the word out. That's what this slide's about. You can go to the next one. And this is a good place for me to pass it over to Victor. These are our pandemic responses that we're really focused on, you know, different industries in the county and helping them weather the pandemic. And so, Victor, I'm passing the ball to you.
Thank you, Corey. Hello, everyone. My name is Victor Bisueta. I'm a business relations specialist for the information technology sector and professional services. My role in the partnership is to work with businesses and connect them to our resources that we have available, all for the city of Chicago and Cook County. So on this slide, we have information about our American Job Centers. As Corey mentioned earlier, we have 10 American Job Centers located all through Cook County. We call them AJCs for short. Our AJCs are designed to provide a full range of assistance to job seekers. Some services can include and will include career coaching, job placement, training, and access to resources such as computers and digital literacy training. Because of COVID, everything is virtual right now, but we are still operating. Regarding early warning network planning, that's a program for manufacturing companies. We have a slide later on today in the presentation where I provide more in-depth details regarding this initiative. Our business engagement, our business relation team serves different industries. And one of the slides earlier was mentioned, those industries are information technology, manufacturing, transportation, distribution and logistics, healthcare, and retail. So our goal is to go out there and provide to those businesses located all through the county the services that we offer through our big network. And then we have two major clients. You know, number one is the job seekers, and number two are the companies and the employers that are looking for talent here in Cook County. The hospitality sector was greatly affected by COVID. You know, when the pandemic started, so thousands of jobs were affected through the county. So we have the child serves that provide assistance to those workers and business impacted by COVID. We're providing them with the resources and funding available. Next slide, please. Employer services. So the partnership provides labor market information regarding the particular occupation that the company requires to us. And we can provide information about job look, demographics, supply and demand, earnings, employment and unemployment statistics. Companies reach out to us because they wanted to move into Cook County and they want to see what's the market out there in the specific area they're looking to move into. So we can provide those resources to anyone for these companies. Sector centers, we have 4 Bayer sector centers that provides workforce development services with businesses under a given industry all through Cook County. The sectors are mentioned here: hospitality and tourism, TDL, transportation, distribution and logistics, information and technology, and healthcare. So our sector centers work with all our other agencies and trying to provide a synergy between all the services and provide assistance to the agencies in Cook County. The virtual job fairs is something that is provided through our American Job Centers. and delegate agencies. Recruiters and job seekers meet in a virtual space via chat rooms. Right now, again, because of COVID, we have an explosion of this type of services taking place. Um, and it's very useful. We provide all the wraparound services that can include with the pre-screening of the participants. We assist them with the resume, updates and matching. And then for most of the places regarding job fairs, they can also have virtual hiring events where people are hired on the spot. And for the talent pipelines, our Chicago Codes is a bootcamp program, training program for web developers. The goal is to increase the number of web developers, professionals in the Chicago area. And then we're working to get more people on certain demographics that typically are not represented in this type of industry. For the Child Serves is a program designed to help those in the hospitality industry that were affected as a result of COVID-19. We have, in addition to that, ITAs or individualized training accounts. They are for our candidates or participants. They are enrolled into the WIOA system, and that can help them access training, free training for them, and then is training on their choice to the major industries that I mentioned before. So they can get to choose the type of industry they would like to train in, and we provide them with placement assistance afterwards. Next slide, please. Opportunity Works is a training for young adults in the suburban Cook County area, and we connect them with business. They are looking for new employees. This program is for young adults ages between 16 to 24. They are not in a school and they're working and live in Cook County and suburban Cook County. This program is designed in different sectors as well. To be more specific, in three of them: manufacturing, information technology, and transportation, distribution, and logistics. And Pay Work Experience is a program that can help those with little or to no experience so they can gain the skills and knowledge to launch their careers. Typically, this program is for high school and college students, as well as for candidates enrolled, again, into our workforce development agencies through WIOA. Next slide, please. And please feel free to ask any questions at any time. Like Corey mentioned, we have a lot of information and limited time, so we want to cover as much as possible. But let me know if there is any questions in the chat. Regarding business services, we have some business service solutions to companies. What we're trying to do is we're trying to do a matching between our job seekers or our talent pipeline out there available and with companies that are looking to hire new people. So one of them is customized training. Customized training is designed by the company to meet a specific criteria or need to potentially hire new employees. When the company cannot find talent because of typically there is a typical specific skill that a company is looking for, they can come to us and then they can develop a customized training program to fit their needs. On the job training is a design for employers, and they can receive up to 50 to 75% reimbursement in some cases to train their new full-time hires. Very popular program, by the way, here in Cook County. And then incumbent worker training is designed to help existing employees of a company. The goal is to provide them with the necessary training for employees so they can keep their jobs, and to receive the training, they can help them receive a promotion or to upskill their current talent and skills. Next slide. For sector partnerships, the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership currently has two sector partnerships that they are part of it. One is in transportation, distribution, and logistics, and the other one's in manufacturing. The sector partnerships are teams. They are established relationship with businesses in a particular area or industry. And the team creates an environment that allows them to provide assistance to them in order to overcome some of the challenges or to prevent or reduce layoff, for example. Again, incumbent worker training, on-the-job training, and customized training are business solutions provided to companies so they can help find and retain talent. The Trade Adjustment Assistance is a program for eligible workers who have lost their jobs due to foreign competition. So this will also create the job skills or the workforce that is laid off and cannot be averted. The reverse hiring event is a reverse job fair that connects the staff of a company that is about to do laid off with other companies in the same industry or sector that has job openings. So what happening is when a company is about to close their doors or lay off their employees, we'll connect those participants that are about to lose their jobs with other employers in the same industry so they can get hired. So there is no time off between the ending of one job and when they can start a new one. And the rapid response services are workshops to connect those affected employers, the ones that are about to lose their employment, those affected workers with the benefits, and make sure that they can find reemployment as quick as possible. Next slide, please. And the Cook County Early Warning Network is funded by the Cook County Economic Development Department and the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership. So this program is a specialized consulting services to small and mid-sized manufacturing companies. There is no cost to them to access these services. The services that they provided, it depends on what the company current situation is. Some example of these services are restructured finances, transition of ownership, a strategic growth plan, on achieving high performance workplace. So there is a contact information for all these services, of course, is the Chicago Cook Workforce Partnership page. We'll provide the link here of the main page. And all our services are free of charge. We can provide many resources to business and job seekers in Cook County. Next slide. Are there any questions for Corey or me?
Thank you, Corey and Victor. Yeah, we can move to our Q&A section. So yeah, participants can drop any questions that they have in the chat. We have a little bit of time here to ask questions directly to Victor and Corey. But if that's the end of the presentation, we can start with our questions. So a couple of questions have come in. So if I have a specific training curriculum related to web development that I would like to offer as a training provider, how can I partner with an agency to become a training provider for the specific offering? Victor,
right. I can answer that question. So what happened is when a organization or a trainer wants to have or become an authorized training provider, they can reach out to us, and there is a eligibility process that they need to go through in order to make sure that they provide some information such as like the curriculum, the content of their training, the length, the cost, and things like that. And once they're approved, people that are in a network can go to their educational place of services and take access to those trainings. And then vouchers or the individual training accounts comes in 3 different levels or packets. So level 1 is up to $3,000, level 2 is up to $5,000, and level 3 is up to $8,000. So if you look for the different levels, let's say you have a class that costs $3,000, that will be a level 1, and then you can come and reach out to the partnership to see if your training program is eligible to be an authorized training provider.
Thank you. Another question, how does a company take advantage of the paid work experience?
All right, I can take that question as well. So the way that it works is the company doesn't, so there is a return on investment. What we have is a lot of people that access our different trainings that we have, including young and adults. So they have the training and they have the credentials, but they don't have the hands-on experience on a lot of the different courses that they take. So what we do is through our agencies, they can access paid work experience, and they will get paid by being placed in a company. The company will don't have to pay the employee, but they will have to provide with the hands-on training in the job place. So it's a win-win situation where the job seeker acquires the hands-on experience, and the company have access to the talent they need with a little bit of coaching, and and that's how they pay work experience. I believe that the program can be up to 16 weeks or 400 hours. So it's a good return investment in that type of scenario.
I think we got a follow-up question to that. How long does the paid work experience last?
16 weeks, up to 16 weeks. It doesn't have to be 16 weeks. It could be shorter than that.
Great. Another question, Chicago Codes was mentioned as a local initiative. What strategies would you recommend that are best to build partnerships with municipalities for workforce development initiatives?
Okay, I'll defer to Corey on that one.
I mean, I could share what we've seen work here in Chicago and suburban Cook County, but I think what's important to recognize about workforce development, and just an important place to start in general, is that there's lots of shared interest in this work, right? It's one of the few things that gets bipartisan support in DC. It's something that local governments know that they need if they're going to build their region up and really support their constituents. And so I would just say, start with labor market information. What are the trends and on both the business side and the employment side, as far as what groups of people are facing difficulty in finding work. Start with that information. It's the type of thing that you can easily get some basic level facts through the American Community Survey, Bureau of Labor Statistics, things like that. A lot of times, state economic development commissions put this data out, and often there's shared interest, right? So there's a problem in the tech industry. There are too many white people and too many men that are looking for that work, finding that work, getting that work, and that's just a reinforced cycle. And the city of Chicago has a ton of talented people that aren't white, that aren't men, that would be great coders if they had access to the training. And we know it, the mayor knew it, the tech industry knows it, and so we created a collaboration, right? We've got Facebook to invest a lot of money, a couple other private foundations, the city put in money, and we targeted those opportunities to Black and brown communities on the south and west sides of Chicago. And, it was a lot of work, but it wasn't, nobody didn't realize the need, and everybody was interested in making it happen. So I don't know if that answers your question, but hopefully it gives you a sense of how we approach getting that project off the ground.
That was great. Thank you. I guess it kind of leads into this next question pretty well. What have been the best strategies for reaching and supporting minority communities, seeing that they have been hit hardest during this pandemic?
Yeah, so go ahead, Corey.
Yeah, I was going to say, I'll just do a quick response and then pass it to you, Victor. I think it's really important to serve people where they're at, both physically and kind of like where they're at in their career trajectory. And so we kind of have a model that's really based on community service locations. So as when you saw our map, we're all over the county. I think that's a big part of it. But it's also, when someone walks through our door, they might want to be a construction worker, but they're not in a union. They're not, they don't have tools. They're not ready to go. It's not saying, sorry, we can't help you. It's saying, these are the steps that you're going to need to take to get to that construction work job. You want to talk about it, right? So that's kind of 2 points that come to mind right away, but I'll pass to Victor.
Yeah, so some of the things that happens, it depends on the industry. Just to give you some specifics, like I mentioned earlier, the hospitality industry was really devastated by COVID. So what we did is, reacting to the need of their sector, we look at those people, and we look at those transferable skills, and we're been trying to place them in other industries. If one industry is having those challenges right now, and like one of the few industries that were not greatly affected, even though most of them were like the IT industry. So what we did is we used some of those transferable skills that people in the hospitality and retail sector has, and try to place them in some entry roles in IT that don't require a lot of certifications, for example. And like Corey mentioned, we are located in the community. So, we serve the Latino community, we serve the African American community. So we are located where the communities are and where the needs are.
Great, thank you. Another question came in. Does the Chicago Coders have a resource database where a company can look at specific profiles, especially women, people of color, Black youth, 21 and older?
So what we did is, for the Chicago Coach program, we actually target women and Black and brown specific population. So we were very successful in enrolling people into our trainings. We completed our third cohort last December, and we're working on the placement of those participants. So we do have a database of interest, kind of like a waiting list. Of course, we gotta make sure that we have to wait until things go back. I don't want to say to normal, to a semi-normal stages. We have to pivot and rearrange ourselves. We have to move the training to a 100% virtual platform because of COVID. But our goal is to go back to the Chatham location, and to have the trainings there. And the Chatham location is located in the south side of Chicago, where the community needs are, right, to try to get those web developers.
Yeah, and I'll also add that we have 60 people have gone through the program already, right? And a lot of them got jobs, but there's still people that are out there, and there might be people that are looking for their next job. So we can also, if you're looking to hire someone who's gotten that training, I know we taught Python and a few other skills, right? That group of people we can definitely connect you to. And if you have a profile of like skill set that you're looking for, let us know, and we'd be happy to send people your way to interview. And yes, they could potentially do a paid work experience. I believe that wouldn't be an issue. And then Victor also mentioned on-the-job training. Like if you're going to hire somebody, but that person isn't ready to do everything you need them to do, and they need some training from you to do their job, we can help cover the cost of that training by paying a portion of their wages. And that's also a great resource, but it comes with the commitment to hire.
Great. Another question that came in, are there any challenges when it comes to undocumented population and them joining some of these programs?
So some of the programs are, I will say they are open to everyone. Of course, we don't turn anybody away, but there are some programs where, of course, there is some requirements to the grantor, has some requirements to access those programs. One example, it will to access the ITAs, they have to be enrolled into WIOA, and in order to be enrolled into WIOA, the Workforce Innovation and Opportunity Act, there is some documentation required to be able to access those services. But we do have universal services. They are access to everyone. We can assist them with the resume building, with the computer literacy courses, access to our American Job Centers and other services like that.
Yeah, and unlike education, the federal workforce development system isn't as explicit in being anti-immigrant for like student loans, like how student loans are. And so there are pathways for dreamers. They can certainly get WIOA services and get those ITAs that Victor mentioned. And there's definitely other resources that are non-federal funded available through our network that people can connect to.
Great. Another question, what specifically about the structure of the Chicago Workforce Partnership has allowed greater success, and what would you recommend to other workforce boards that are looking at their own structure?
Our nonprofit structure is great. Our size, I think, is great. You know, a lot of times economies are regional. They're not based in one city. And so if you can have a workforce board that covers an entire region, I think that's effective. Being a nonprofit like enables us to raise money in ways that government entities can't. And so and because we have these federal resources, we can kind of leverage those funds to raise additional money. So we've actually raised over $125 million since 2012 in, you know, apart from our federal funds that are the core of the work that we do. And so it's not everywhere, but it's more common. I know San Diego has a nonprofit. There's a few other around, but if it's a structure worth exploring for sure.
And being able to partner, we got a lot of great partners, you know, like the City Colleges of Chicago, you know, Small Business Association, other businesses. So there is a lot of support coming from all directions, which help us do more for the communities that we're trying to serve. So those partnerships are important.
Okay, so I think that brings us to the end of our Q&A. I want to say thank you again, Victor and Corey, for the really thorough presentation and taking the time to answer questions as well. So before we close out the program, we wanted to also speak to an update from the PPP program. This week, President Biden's administration and the SBA had made some pretty important changes to the PPP program. We wanted to make sure everybody was aware of that. And so just to run through the PPP updates quickly, so one of the big changes is that there is a 14-day exclusive PPP loan application period for businesses and nonprofits with fewer than 20 employees, which began on Wednesday. So I'd recommend reaching out to SBA certified lenders if you're planning on applying for a PPP loan. Other revisions that have been made include there have been changes that allow sole proprietors, independent contractors, self-employed individuals to receive more financial support. The SBA has also eliminated a restriction on PPP access for small business owners with prior felony convictions and student loan debt delinquency and defaults. And finally, the SBA has ensured access for non-citizen small business owners who may use ITINs to file their taxes. So we just wanted to make sure that we cover this update as well because of NPNA's role with the Cook County Recovery Initiative. We do provide technical assistance for small businesses and nonprofits that are seeking whether it's PPP loans or other federal aid programs. We're happy to provide assistance, and we are going to share that email that you can contact us after the program. But this brings us to the close of our webinar. We want to thank everyone who joined us today. Thank you especially Corey and Victor for putting together that great presentation. All of the presentation, the recording, and resources from the webinar will be emailed to all registered attendees, all the contact information if you have further questions, along with additional stimulus resources and our contact for technical assistance. Thank you again to all the presenters and partners, and we hope everyone has a good day.